We take it for granted because words are all around us and we read them without even thinking about it.
Sadly, hundreds of millions of children around the world lack even this most foundational of skills.
A recent World Bank report estimated that 70% of 10-year-olds in low and middle-income countries are in learning poverty.
What can we do to revitalize education? Is there an alternative?
Accelerating Learning for All, or ALfA, is a groundbreaking pedagogy transforming how we teach and learn.
ALfA is fast, holistic, and evidence-based. Let's understand these three key facets in turn.
ALfA is fast. It can take a student just 45 working days to become foundationally literate and numerate. Compare this to the conventional education system, where it often takes 3 years or more.
How is it so fast? Children work in pairs, taking turns to read and ask each other questions. They derive the first sound from known pictures, then blend those sounds together to form words.
In mathematics, children use concrete objects to represent numbers. They take turns to ask each other questions and solve them. The modules are simple, highly visual, and designed for paired learning.
ALfA isn't just fast for literacy and numeracy, it is also holistic, as the very process of student-led paired work helps inculcate 21st century skills.
Rather than just competing against each other, children collaborate to solve problems together. Rather than rote memorizing answers, they derive new learning themselves, building their creativity and critical thinking.
Third, ALfA isn't just an educational theory, it has been proven effective at scale.
Consider some examples from Uttar Pradesh, India's most populous state.
In Shamli, a formerly low-performing district, ALfA was implemented in 210 schools. The impressive results were written up in a chapter of a book by Fernando Reimers, a Harvard Graduate School of Education professor. They found that ALfA students had much higher ORF, or oral reading fluency scores, than the reference group.
ALfA was implemented in all 155 schools of Hiloli block, Unnao district. Soon afterwards, it topped the government's Nipun achievement test, with 47% of schools passing the test, compared to the district average of 15%.
Himachal Pradesh has also signed an agreement to implement ALfA across the whole state. We started with district-wide implementation in 470 schools of Solan.
ALfA began with a pilot in 2022 in just 20 government primary schools. Today, it is rolling out in stages in 14,000 schools.
And it's not just government schools. City Montessori School, the Guinness World Record holder for world's largest school, has been implementing ALfA in pre-primary to grade 3, with impressive results.
ALfA is attracting attention from governments, including a 130-member delegation from the Maldives Ministry of Education.
Recently, a 54-member delegation from an Indian state, Madhya Pradesh, came to witness ALfA implementation in Lucknow and Unnao.
We've seen that ALfA is fast, holistic, and proven at scale in Indian primary schools. But what about other contexts?
ALfA is also being implemented in other parts of India, like the mountains of Ladakh, in collaboration with 17,000 Feet Foundation.
ALfA is also working well for adult literacy, for instance, in collaboration with the Department of Education in Mizoram and partnering with impact Foundation in West Bengal, Rajasthan, Uttarakhand, and UP.
ALfA is available in over 30 languages, allowing it to be piloted in diverse contexts around the world.
In the Maldives, Devi trained teachers from across the country, and a primary school program is being implemented with support from UNICEF.
In Kenya, Path Youth has run an FLN boot camp in the slums of Mombasa using the ALfA materials.
In Peru, Arcadita NGO is using ALfA in 2 schools in the remote Amazonian rainforest.
In the USA, Literacy Chicago are using the ALfA technique to teach adults how to read.
Across these diverse contexts and many languages, one thing remains constant. The Accelerating Learning for All pedagogy is helping transform education.
Reach out to us today to see how we can work together to ensure all children realize their right to a quality education.
चलो करो 1 और 33 3 करना है ना, कितना करोगे? 2 3, अब 1 2 3, कितना हो गया? 33, वेरी गुड। अब ये बताना, देखो ये कितना हुआ मेरी? 1 10 20 40 50, कितना हुआ? 51, वेरी गुड। सब लोग क्लैपिंग करो। बहुत अच्छा, बहुत अच्छा। अब ताली बजा के दिखाओ 51 की 5 बार ताली बजाओ। 1 2 3 4 5 और 1, वेरी गुड।
Check my hair. Check my audio.
Tina, please tell me, what is this? That's sun. What is the first sound? So what is the word? Sun. Give me a high five. Yay!
What is this? This is apple. What is the first sound of apple? What is this? This is a cup. What is the first sound of cup? Cup. Add the sound. Cup. That. What is the first sound of duck? Hello, my name is Swastika. My name is Zoya. I am 8 years old. I am 6 years old. I am a girl. I am a girl too. I have sister. I have sister too. We live in Lucknow. My school's name is City Montessori School. Eyes. Eyes. My name is Prisha Rathod. This is Tina and this is Toto. Tina, can you read this? Yes, I can. This. Well done. Sun, moon, sky and stars. When we go to bed, the sky is dark. It is night.
ठीक है. Good afternoon and a very warm welcome. A very warm welcome to all of you joining us from around India and across the world. It's so great to have you with us again today. My name is Tom, and along with me is my colleague Milita, and we've got another action-packed and very joyful session with you today. We really enjoyed the time yesterday with you to discuss and showcase some numeracy activities. The first day was literacy, next day was numeracy, and today we're going to tackle a broader range of topics around how teachers can use ALfA in the classroom, what are the roles of the teachers, and so on. But firstly, please do introduce yourself in the chat. And it looks like we've got a technical issue straight off the bat with somebody saying no sound. Can we please check that the sound is coming okay? Yesterday with you it looks like the sound is coming. So Uma Maniji, please do check at your end. It looks like the sound is coming through clear. So please do keep introducing yourselves in the chat. I'm just going to read out a couple. We've got Ruhi here with us from Kashmir, from Srinagar. Thanks, Ruhi. Ruhi's been joining us all 3 days. Wonderful to have you. We've got Raj Kumari, Romabati Devi, Uma Mani from Malaysia, several guests from Manipur. We have Preeti, we have Alfred from Manipur, and we have Manish from Lucknow, Laishram Roski. So very warm welcome and good afternoon to all of you. It's great to have you with us today. So please keep posting your introductions in the chat. And I'd just like to pull up my PowerPoint to give a brief overview of what we're going to be discussing today. So we're going to talk about what are the steps of an ALfA class. We'll also be looking at how teachers can prepare ahead of time for the ALfA class. So what are the steps required in terms of random pairing and these Tina and Toto puppets? Milita mentioned briefly yesterday, but we're going to go in more depth with that today. We'll also discuss a bit more of this collective feedback, this process which we mentioned yesterday, but we'll go in much more depth today to consider how we can take feedback of the whole class to understand what their learning level is, whether they've understood this concept or not. Before we move forwards, we'll be looking specifically at what are the roles of an ALfA teacher. So the normal traditional teacher, the chalk and talk approach, well, it's very different in the ALfA classroom, but the teacher still has a very important role to play, even while it's shifting to a student-centered classroom. We'll have a fun session with some common do's and don'ts, some common mistakes that teachers sometimes fall into when they start on the ALfA approach. So, and we'll have plenty of time at the end for Q&As. And please do keep posting your questions and your comments in the chat throughout. We really love that level of interaction. Just a final reminder before we get started that if you missed the quiz yesterday, please do, I'm asking my team to post the link again in the chat. So yesterday we had a fun numeracy session, and we're sharing the quiz link. If you missed that yesterday, please do go and do it. And once you do the quiz, please fill your email in that, and we'll share you by email the numeracy materials so that you can get started right away, so that you can get started trying this out in your classroom. Because while we've really enjoyed the time with you over these 3 days, the real key is not just listening, but actually putting it into practice. So we're really excited to be sharing the materials with you, and we'd love it if you try this out in your classroom and share the feedback with us. You know, we'd love to hear your feedback as to how it's going in your class. The videos you'll be seeing today of different teachers' classrooms in Himachal Pradesh, in Lucknow, and different places. Well, the next training, we want to show some of your videos in the next training. So please do share your photos and videos with us as you try this out in your classes. So with that, I'd like to hand over to Milita and to ask you, Milita, about classroom preparation. And specifically, you know, you were talking yesterday about Tina and Toto puppets, but can you explain a little bit more? What is this? Why are we using puppets in the first place? And what is this Tina and Toto puppets business?
Thank you, Tom. And it's lovely meeting you all again today in this afternoon from India. And I hope you will be having a full-on session, enjoying every bit of it. So welcome you all from India, from Rwanda, from Malaysia, and all other parts of the world. We are really obliged to have you all. So starting from why and what we are doing with Tina and Toto. So specifically, Tina and Toto become very good friend of ours when we or the children are there in the classroom. So you can see that these puppets or Tina and Toto are the good friends that the children can engage while they are learning inside the classroom. And it becomes so interesting because it may happen that the children who are there in your classroom, because we are doing a random pairing, so if the children are an odd number, so one of the child would be left not having a pair. So here comes the solution to the problem that Tina and Toto are there to have or be a pair for that child in that classroom. And we have a video to show you that how this learning process goes back to their home and they practice this out with their parents also. So this is a very fancy Tina and Toto, but if you can make this, it would be so awesome. But also a very simple Tina and Toto would be also there to welcome the children. And it will be a fun way to make them understand the concept of learning through Tina and Toto.
Great. Milita, maybe we could give a little demonstration of what this looks like in the classroom. So we've got with us, several of you are asking for Hindi training as well. So we're not going to speak in Hindi today, but we've got the Hindi book here with us just to show you what that looks like as well. If you're interested in the full Hindi training, by the way, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see a couple of months ago we ran a Hindi training. So here in this Hindi book, supposing I am Tina, right? I'm Tina here, and Milita is Toto. So let's ask each other questions, right? In the same way, you'll recall from the first day, the key questions of ALfA, in which we're moving from pictures to sounds to words. So let's give it a try. Hi, Toto, how are you?
Hi, Tina, I'm good.
Okay, great. Can you tell me, what is this picture?
This is, in Hindi, we call it battak.
Okay, great. It's a battak. And what's the first sound of battak?
The first sound of battak is ba.
Great job. And what's this picture?
This is sapera.
Okay, well done, Toto. And the first sound of sapera is?
Sa.
Great. And what do you get when you join these two sounds?
It's basa bus.
Okay, well done, Toto.
Thank you, Tina.
Okay, great. So you get to see that, especially at the start, if kids are a little bit shy, working in a new pair, maybe they need a bit of an icebreaker, making these puppets together and then using these puppets to break the ice and have that conversation with each other is really powerful. And then, as Melissa shared, it's also useful in a variety of contexts. Supposing there's an odd number of students in the class, one child is sitting out, they can use the Tina and Toto and be a pair with themselves. You know, they can role play both sides of the role. Also, it's very useful for homework. Kids take these home and keep practicing at home with them. So we've got a little video to show you, which I just am noticing in the chat though. There were a couple of good questions. So Ruhi asked, kindly share yesterday's numeracy material. So Ruhi, you would have, I think you might have filled in a quiz yesterday. If not, the link is there in the chat. And so once you fill the quiz, you share your email address in that quiz, and we'll be emailing you the numeracy materials. And Dr. Urfana Amin, I apologize. It looks like we made a mistake from our side with the certificate. I'll get that sorted out and mail it to you. I think I have your email address, so yes, I'll definitely share that with you. Thanks for pointing it out. And Ruhi, okay, so any mistakes on the certificate, I apologize. That was my error, and I'll get back to you with the correct certificate. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's watch this short video. We've got a beautiful video from Himachal Pradesh. The video is in Hindi, but it has English subtitles, so it's friendly for everybody. So it's just a 3-minute video, and I'd love to hear your thoughts after the video on what do you see as the potential for using puppets like Tina and Toto in the classroom.
वर्षा शर्मा, राजकीय प्राथमिक पाठशाला नालागढ़ कन्या में एक्टिविटी टीचर हूँ। यहाँ पे अल्फा टीम हमारे पास काफ़ी दिनों से आ रही है। इससे बच्चों ने काफ़ी रुचि से लिया है। जिन बच्चों को अक्षर ज्ञान भी पूरी तरह से नहीं आता था, उन बच्चों ने भी सीखा है। इसके साथ साथ गणित में भी बच्चों ने बहुत रुचि ली है। इसमें जो एक नई एक्टिविटी थी वो थी टीना टोटो, जिसमें बच्चों से जो आपस में जो ग्रुप में बैठते थे और उन्होंने एक दूसरे से पहले उसमें टॉपिक पे पढ़ते थे और उसी में से प्रश्न उत्तर जो थे वो तैयार करते थे। एक बच्चा प्रश्न पूछता था, दूसरा उसका उत्तर देता था। इस तरह से बच्चों में प्रश्न खुद तैयार करने की योग्यता बढ़ी और बच्चों का बोधि ज्ञान भी हुआ। दूसरा बच्चा उसके उत्तर देता था और वो बहुत ही रुचि के साथ इस चीज को सीखे।
मेरा नाम पवन सिंह, सन ऑफ श्री गुरुदेव सिंह, विलेज पटेड़ पंखू, तहसील नालागढ़, जिला सोलन। हमारे 2 बच्चे हैं, एक 3rd क्लास में है, एक 4th में है। ये हमारे बच्चों ने बनाए टीना और टोटो। ये सारा घर पे इन्होंने बनाया है और बुक्स पढ़ते हैं हिंदी की, ABS की। उसमें आपस में पढ़ करके क्वेश्चन करते हैं एक दूसरे को। पहले टीना टोटो से क्वेश्चन करता है, फिर टोटो टीना से, ताकि मिल बैठ करके पढ़ते हैं। अगर नहीं कुछ समझ में आए तो एक दूसरे से पूछते हैं, हमसे ही पूछ लेते हैं। बाकी रिजल्ट सही है, चल रहे, बढ़िया चल रहे हैं बच्चे।
हमें पढ़ने बहुत अच्छा लगता है, EVS की किताब।
हाँ, हम देवी संस्थान का बहुत शुक्रगुजार है, जिनकी वजह से हमारे बच्चे इतने आगे बढ़ रहे हैं।
मेरा नाम है किरण देवी। मेरे 2 बच्चे हैं, सरकारी स्कूल में पढ़ते हैं। स्कूल का नाम है प्राथमिक पाठशाला सोपन मांजरा। एक सियाराम में, दूसरी कक्षा में, जयराम में, 4th कक्षा में पढ़ते हैं। पहले आते थे स्कूल से तो खेलने लगते थे, अब आते हैं तो टीना टोटो जब से पढ़ाया हुआ तो पढ़ते रहे। उसमें मैं भी रहती थी, मेरे साथ भी खेलते हैं, दोनों आपस में पढ़ते हैं। पहले जयराम पूछते, फिर सियाराम पूछते हैं। टीना टोटो के साथ साथ मुझे संख्यों के ज्ञान हुआ। चुटकी का मतलब है 1, ताली का मतलब 10। जो मेरे बच्चे स्कूल में पढ़ते थे वो मुझे बताते थे। मैं पढ़ी लिखी नहीं हूँ, मेरे बच्चे जो पढ़ाई करके आते हैं वो बताते हैं।
नमस्कार, मैं संजीव कुमार रामशहर से बात कर रहा हूँ। मेरे बच्चे गवर्नमेंट प्राइमरी स्कूल रामशहर में पढ़ते हैं, 2 बच्चे, और वो स्कूल में टीना टोटो की सहायता से जो गेम खेलते हैं, घर में आके भी वो खेलते हैं इस गेम को और हमारे साथ आपस में बात करते हैं। और अल्फा ने जो ये बुक्स दे रखी है स्कूल में बच्चों को पढ़ाने के लिए, इससे बच्चों को मतलब पढ़ना और काफ़ी इजी हो जाता है। मतलब किसी अक्षर को मिलाना या कोई मैथ का हो गया। तो देखा मैंने स्कूल में जाके इनकी बुक्स को, तो अच्छा लगा, मतलब जो बेसिक है वो बच्चा मतलब आसानी से सीख रहा है।
Thanks for watching that video with us. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the chat. What did you notice in that video? What are some of the benefits of using these Tina and Toto puppets? In that video, we heard from one teacher. We also heard from several parents, how they're also engaged in the process. So we'd love to hear your thoughts in the chat. What did you notice in that video? What do you think are some of the benefits of using Tina and Toto puppets in this process? So as I'm waiting, please do share your thoughts, your comments in the chat. Milita, I want to ask you, because you're a master of the Tina and Toto puppets, so, and you helped to put this video together. I think you interviewed some of these parents as well. So yeah, what stood out to you?
So for me, the experience of this lady who was telling, about how the children who used to earlier come to the house, come back from the school and start playing, now when after the introduction of Tina and Toto, they come back to their home, and then they start, with the learning process. They begin the learning process with the usage of Tina and Toto, and they are not just learning and playing together, but they are also involving their parents in the learning process. And as that lady was saying, that she is illiterate, but her children are helping her to learn. So that was mind-blowing for me, that what transformation that we were expecting, that learning should be having a rippling effect, is what that we are creating through. It can create through ALfA. Oh, sorry, Tina and Toto.
Beautiful. Yeah. So the fact that parents are involved, parents are helping the kids, and in that instance, the kids are helping their parents learn as well. That's incredible. It's beautiful. So I'm just looking in the chat. Please do share your thoughts about what are the benefits of Tina and Toto puppets. Ruhi Sultana shared language development. That's exactly right. So obviously ALfA is mainly focused on reading and writing, but also oral language development, and just comfort in communication is really important. So just doing a simple role play with these puppets means kids' conversational skills, their communication skills, their oral language skills are also developing.
So Tom, I would like to ask you a particular question, that while we were we were using this Tina and Toto to demonstrate, I should have taken Tina and you should have taken Toto, but you gave me Toto and you took Tina. Why?
So we do encourage our children to become more gender sensitive through this process, that it's not necessary that the boy takes Toto and the girl takes Tina. They can take on the other puppets as well, because we're encouraging greater empathy, right? And what is empathy? Empathy means imagining yourself in a different person's shoes, right? So I should be able to imagine myself as a girl. Milita can imagine herself as a boy. And I think empathy is really one of the key principles of this whole ALfA process. That's one of the reasons for random pairing, as we've discussed yesterday as well, that pairing is very beneficial academically, but it's also beneficial socially, developing those crucial skills and attitudes like empathy. So I'm just looking in the chat as well. Some other interesting comments are coming in. Masengeso, again, apologies if I'm mispronouncing names. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing names here. But Masengeso said, this play, Tina and Toto, engage not only learners, but also parents. That's exactly right. So it's a great way that they can take home these Tina and Toto puppets. And it means, as we saw in the numeracy session yesterday, you don't need any special materials for this, right? You don't even need the book. You just need the idea of how to do these hands-on things, and then you can do it at home. I've done it at home with kids using, chilies as ones and potatoes as tens, or whatever, anything you find you can do. So very well said. And Patrick said, Tina and Toto puppet is very attractive. And second, Tina and Toto push children to engage parents and pull parents to interact. Absolutely agree. Ruhi Sultana shared active participation of children. Beautiful. Laish Ram said it's a good idea. It learns how to conversate and develop their ideas. Very well said. It keeps children involved. This was Dr. I think Urmina. Yeah, great. Really well said. So you see that Tina and Toto, it's covering kind of quite a diverse set of benefits, right? It's enabling fun homework. It's also enabling classwork, and it's definitely developing children's social and emotional skills as well. So this is one of the key things for a teacher to prepare, right? They can prepare for the ALfA class by encouraging the students, helping the students to make these Tina and Toto puppets. And as you saw, it's really very, very simple. You know, just one ice cream stick, or it could be one pen, one pencil, anything, and a cutout from paper or cardboard, and you're away. You know, very, very simple puppet. I'm not a great artist, but I can make this as well. So that's one step in preparing. Now, if we just go back to my PowerPoint, we can have a look at the other steps of preparing for an ALfA classroom. So Milita, would you like to mention something about this, of preparing materials? Why is it important to prepare our materials ahead of time?
See, what the main motto behind the aspect is that the preparation material, because in ALfA classroom there are certain of the materials that are often required, and it becomes very handy when it is already prepared by the teacher beforehand. Because just taking the reference from the numeracy book, so when we are talking about liters, when we are talking about weight, so there are certain materials that would be required to give the children in-hand experience, not dictating the ideas from the board, but making them understand as they do it. So a prior preparation will be needed. For this, we would suggest that, if whenever you are going through the modules, and in the coming day, the module that would be coming up would be talking about liters or would be talking about weight. So the teacher should get the materials required for the presentation or the modules to be practiced beforehand, so that the time should not be wasted, and much of the class time should be engaged in the learning process.
Absolutely, I agree, Milita. And one more thing to add there maybe would be that it's not necessary that the teacher is the only one who's bringing the materials, right? The teacher can ask the students to bring the materials from home. So I think yesterday we gave the example in maths of having for volume, we might need bottles or buckets. So we can ask the students to bring this from home, right? Lots of these materials, we're not talking about any fancy or expensive materials. We're just talking about readily available materials. So ask the students to bring it to school with them, and that's a nice way to engage them in the process as well. Okay, so we've talked about preparing the Tina Toto puppets, we've talked about getting the materials ready, and now the most important, very important step at the start of the day is to make pairs. So in order to prepare for pairing, right, we need to prepare for pairing. Milita, can you suggest how we can prepare to pair?
Okay, so for pairing, it's very essential that the teacher should be ready with some, it can be ice cream sticks where the name of the children are written beforehand, or it can be pieces of paper where the name of the children are written. So it's the preparation for a random pairing that can be done beforehand. So then again, the same thing that for what we were stating about, getting the materials ready for the classroom. So the same wise, the time of the learning process should be mainly focus upon the learning process. So it's like the name should be written beforehand and kept if in a box or in a pen stand, and then the whole learning process can begin with random sampling.
Can I just show my PowerPoint here, because we've got a nice photo of this. So you might be wondering, what does this look like to write the names of the students on an ice cream stick or on a piece of paper? Well, here it is. This one on the left, I think we've just taken from the internet somewhere, but from the right, that's a genuine, that's one of our classes. And it's very nice. We can ask, in this process, we've got all those ice cream sticks there. Then we ask one student to come up and pull out any two ice cream sticks at random, read the name. So for example, the name might be Anand and Palak. Palak, sorry, not Palak, Anand and Palak. And we say, okay, now Anand and Palak will sit together, they're pairs for the day. So those two come and they sit together. Then we pull out two more names. Okay, there's Shivani and there's Rudransh. They're sitting together. So it's a very swift process, and the kids really enjoy it. They love the feeling of their name being there and being the suspense as well. It's like a lottery, drawing from a lottery. Another way to do random pairing, which I mentioned briefly earlier, but just to look at it once again. So supposing you have like 20 kids in the class, then you could have the numbered pieces of paper, chits of paper with the numbers from 1 to 10 written on it 2 times. So if we look at my class here, there's 12 students here in my class. And so I'm going to get the numbered paper from 1 to 6 twice. And I'm going to shuffle them up and I'm going to distribute them to all the kids. So this child got 6, this child got 5, 1, 5, 4, 3, so forth. I'm shuffling them up and I'm distributing them. I'm asking the students to help me distribute. And then I'll explain to them, when I say go, you need to not make any sound, no noise, but you need to go and find the other student who has the same number as you. So supposing I have the number 4, I'm going to try to find the other student who has the same number 4. And this is how it looks like in the PowerPoint animation. You can see they're running around the class. Well, not running, just walking, but without making a noise. They're looking for their partner who has the same number, and they'll be sitting with them for that day. So again, it's a fun activity. Here they're building their number skills. They're just learning to recognize those numbers. And we say, okay, do it quietly. See if you can find your number without making any noise at all. So this is great. And in terms of pairing, I would love to hear your thoughts, right? Because we've been talking quite a lot about pairing, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on why are we making pairs randomly, not by ability level, right? So we've been talking about paired work, what activities they do in pairs, but one of the big differences of ALfA compared to some other popular programs is that we're not making pairs by ability level. So, some programs, they take the so-called strong students and they put them together. They take the weak students, put them together. But in ALfA, we're not doing that. We're mixing it up across ability levels. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts in the chat as to why do you think we're making pairs randomly and not by ability level. Meanwhile, I'm just going to have a look at the chat because I think some other good ideas have come through already. So Patrick said, you talked about something very important. It's not only the teacher to prepare materials, students should be involved. Pupils should be involved. It can enhance their interest in learning by exploring, discovering, and creating. Absolutely agree, Patrick. So we can integrate art. Art is part of the process in ALfA, and the students are making their own TLMs. We also mentioned in literacy, we have those picture and letter cards where we encourage the students to make those cards themselves. The very process of making those materials is fun, and it's part of the learning process. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts, everybody in the chat. Why are we making pairs randomly rather than deliberately in terms of putting the strong students together and the weak students together? So while I'm waiting for your thoughts, I'd like to hear your thoughts as well, Milita. What do you think? Why are we making pairs randomly here?
See, the main purpose behind this random pairing is that the children, all who are there, they get to mix up, and at the same time, the children who are struggling, they learn, and without any thought process, because when we are making a child sit with another child purposefully, not through random way of making them sit. So it is like, the child may think that I am because I'm weak in studies, so thereby I'm being made to sit with a brighter student. Or the brighter student may think, because I am brighter, so I am being asked to help this particular boy. So or this particular child. So this creates the divide among the children also.
Yes.
So we want to we want to just make the learning process so effective that the children, when they are sitting together, they are working it out effectively without any thought, and they are mingling together.
Right. So that's good, Milita, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the chat. Why do you think this random pairing process can be useful in ALfA? But Milita, I have a follow-up question, which is a common query we face in the field, is supposing two children, we randomly pair them, and these two children, they both know very little. They're both very first-generation learners. They don't recognize a single letter. Then how will they be able to help each other if they're both at level 0?
That's really a very important aspect, that we may, as a teacher, may face this particular situation in the classroom. And I would say that we should not disturb this pair immediately. Let them struggle a little bit for that particular period of time. Supposingly, if the time period is of 1 hour, give them some time, 10 to 15 minutes, so that let them struggle, and then let us repair them.
Okay.
Repair them so that they can, again, this process can be repeated.
Right.
Other way of making this much more engaging is, if supposingly these two children who are struggling in the learning process, so we can ask them to go to another child or another pair to get and understand the process and come back and try again. So it will be developing in them the idea of collaboration also, not only of communication. And so they would be able to, they will promote this idea. Whenever you are struggling, go and ask for help.
Yeah.
And that would be very effective, instead of the teacher answering them or helping them out.
So you're saying that the pairs can also ask for help from another pair.
Right.
Rather than directly asking from the teacher, they can approach another pair.
Definitely.
And I'm seeing Ruhi Sultana shared, it's an exchange of ideas. Absolutely. And Patrick has given another very eloquent comment. Patrick, I think you should be here with us running this training, because you're taking all our best points and putting them very nicely. So Patrick said, random pairing is better than ability level pairing because every child has his or her own ability that makes strong things when shared. Diversity is also enhanced, even inclusion is promoted here. That's very well said, Patrick. So it's all about not just the academics, right? The academics is important, but it's also all about inclusion, diversity, respect. And like Milita was saying, if I am a so-called weak child and I'm told to sit with the other weak children, I'm not going to feel very included in the classroom, right? And I think learning level is a temporary thing, right? At one day, I will not know how to do addition. Next day, I will know how to do addition. Learning level is temporary, but sometimes the damage we can do psychologically if we label a child as weak or even as strong, the label of strong can also do damage if it makes a child arrogant. So we need to be very careful of what labels we use for our children and how we build a classroom environment that's really warm and inclusive. So thanks, Patrick. Great thought, and interested to hear others' thoughts as well in the chat. I think all of my main points were covered by Patrick, but we can also just show the slideshow briefly. So we are talking about it ensures fairness, there's equal participation. Also, it adds excitement and engagement. This is a good point, actually, that when we are making new pairs every day, the child comes to school thinking, oh, who am I going to sit with today? I wonder who it will be. So there's a freshness, a newness to each day. And it also means that classroom management is a bit easier because, teachers, it's not all on the teacher. The teacher doesn't have the whole responsibility for the class. The kids are helping each other working. Yeah.
I would like to put one point in this also.
Yeah.
That I've heard from a teacher where, they were implementing this idea of ALfA.
Yes.
That when these children were made to sit in pair, so, the next day, they were going to the pair's house to ask them, let's go together to school. So it also promoted or enhanced the attendance that often, the government schools often face, like, the children not coming to the school.
Yes.
So then the teacher had to call the students to ask them to come to the school. But now it becomes the responsibility of the pair.
Wow.
So the pair now goes to house, knocks to the door, come, let's go to the school. So that is what, it creates an environment that becomes so much enjoyable and engaging.
Wow, that's beautiful, Milita. What a great story that, the pair is helping bring the other child to school, and that's boosting the student attendance rate as well. That's fantastic. Wow. Okay, so we've talked a bit now about preparation, right? We mentioned making the Tina and Toto puppets. We talked about getting the materials ready ahead of time, inviting the students to bring materials from home. We've talked about getting the material ready for pairing. So that's writing all the students' names on chits of paper or ice cream sticks, or having numbered chits of paper. Now let's talk about what the actual ALfA lesson looks like. You know, how we actually go through the day with the ALfA learning process. Well, it's pretty simple, really, and you've already heard this briefly, but now let's just put it here all in one slide. There's just 4 steps to an ALfA lesson. It's really straightforward. The first step we were just talking about, right? It's forming random pairs. So we're making pairs. Then the next step is that the teacher is going to demonstrate with one child. So let's give this a try. Supposing I'm the teacher in this class, and I've randomly chosen a child, and it just happens to be Milita. Okay, Milita, come to the front. And
can I ask you one question?
Yes.
So how are you selecting the children randomly? What's the process?
I think you can use what you just developed, this box with all the children's names. Just pull one name out randomly and ask that child to come forward.
Okay.
This is actually, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think sometimes as teachers we're tempted to call the so-called strong students. We want to call them up because we know they can do it well. But it's really important to let all the students have a turn. And when they know that it's random, then it shows that it's fair. It shows that you're not biased. You're just pulling it out randomly. So I've randomly pulled out a name, and it just happens to be Milita. It's an incredible coincidence. So let's do a teacher-child demo, right, of the activity, which is going to be the clapping and snapping activity, which we did yesterday as well. Okay, so let's have the full screen on the video, please. And here we go. So you might recall from yesterday, everybody, that a clap is 10 and a snap is 1. So I'm going to clap and snap a number. Milita will share. And this is our demonstration for the class.
Okay.
Here we go. Ready?
41.
Okay, well done. Great job. And now it's your turn. So in the teacher-child demo, it's not just the teacher is demonstrating, the child is also participating. So now it's your turn, Milita. Is that 52?
Can you try once again?
Okay. $53.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I did a strategy there, which I like to do in the class sometimes as well with my students, is to make a deliberate mistake, because the kids find it funny when the teacher makes a mistake, and it means that they're paying more attention. If they can catch you making a mistake, they'll feel good about themselves. So yeah, it's fun to sometimes make a deliberate mistake and let the kids catch it. So that was the teacher-child demo, right? Now I'm going to again pull my name out. Pull another name out of the hat to go on to the third step, which is going to be the student demo. And look at this. This is another great coincidence. I've got my other good friend and colleague, Nixon, sir. Okay, so I've got Milita and Nixon, and I'm just going to invite my colleague to come up here with us on the stage. Perfect. And now as the teacher, now I will kind of step aside, right? Step aside in the class and allow the 2 students to take the center stage, and they will demonstrate the activity that that all of the class will be doing shortly. So we'll just swing the camera around slightly, and here we have Milita and Nixon Ji. So perfect. Now it's your turn to do a demonstration. So Milita, first you, and then Nixon.
Okay. So I am doing. Can you tell me the number?
Is it 23?
Yes. Can you give me a high five? Now can you make a number for me?
Okay, fine.
54?
44.
Okay. It was 44.
44.
So just this, that you have to give me, you can not tell me the answer. You have to ask me to do once more,
Okay.
and then you have to clap and snap once again. so that I again retry.
Okay, good. Yes, I'll try that.
So,
Yeah. Can I
Yes,
try?
yeah, Chris.
yes. 44.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Lovely. So we saw there in that beautiful demonstration. Thanks so much, Nixon sir, for just,
Thank you, sir.
it was an incredible coincidence that I pulled your name out and you were here. Very, very fortunate.
you.
But you can see there again, Milita, she made a mistake. And I'm not sure, you wouldn't have heard because the microphone is not on, but the others who are sitting here, they all called out immediately, oh, it's a mistake. So in the same way in the class, if there's a mistake from the front, we can turn it into a learning opportunity, right? So it's another reason to not deliberately call out the strong students, so-called, call out a random child, even if they make a mistake. Try to have a classroom environment where they can be a friendly correction and just say, okay, just try again. We don't use the word wrong. We don't use the word stupid. We just say, try again. Let's try once more. So, and I'm seeing in the chat, lots of you already responded. Yes, it was indeed 44. Absolutely right. And Laishram also made a good point. Random calling is also quite important to manage the class. Clapping, counting the number is also interesting. It's a really good point from Laishram, because I know that if I'm a child and I feel like the teacher never calls my name, then why should I pay attention? I'm going to just be looking out the window, just relaxing or being disruptive. But if I know that the teacher is going to pull a random ice cream stick and it could be my name, I'm going to be paying more attention, because I want to impress others. So it's a really good point, the power of just randomly pulling a name rather than deliberately choosing. Beautiful. So that was the third step. If we just go back to the slide briefly, we are talking about, first we formed the random pairs, then Milita and I did a demonstration. That was the teacher with the child. Then we had a pair of children giving a demonstration. And now step 4 is the step where we take most of the time, so supposing it's like 10% for random pairing, 10% for the teacher demonstration with child, 10% for child, then 70%, most of the class will be spent on this step 4, which is that the whole class is now working together in pairs. They're doing the same activity. They're taking turns to read and ask questions in the case of literacy, or in the case of math, they're taking turns to do the activity. So again, I'm going to put my technical team on the spot here, swing the camera around a little bit, and we've got our classroom here. I'm glad to introduce you also to my technical team who've been helping support us. I know we've had the technical challenges along the way, but they've been here to help smooth it out. So here they are. We've got Sumita ma'am, we've got Amar sir, Anna sir, and okay, this is our class for today. So please give a demonstration of the clapping and snapping activity. So Sumita and Amarji are doing it, and also Anas and sir is doing it. Yeah. Okay, I know the sound will not be coming through to you, but that was 51. Now it's Amar's turn. 22, okay. So the sound is not coming through. That's fine. The sound is not coming through because they're not mic'd up. But you can see if we had a whole class full of students, it would be full of noise. All of the kids would be clapping and snapping, and I think you've seen that in some of the videos, or we've got one more video to show you towards the end today. But that's one important point actually, is the ALfA classroom. There is some noise, because if the kids are working in pairs, they're talking with each other, there will be some noise, but don't be afraid of that. If it's productive noise, if it's disruptive noise, that's a problem. But if it's productive noise, the kids are working together, then it's nothing to be afraid of. And that's the step 4, the children working together in pairs, and they're giving each other new questions. It's not just that they're taking questions from the textbook, they're making new questions for each other, which is so powerful. So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the chat. What are the benefits of this 4-step process? We talked about this, we've already talked about pairing, but what do you think are the benefits of this, having a teacher-child demo, a child-child demo, and then having the whole class working in pairs and making new questions? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the chat. What do you think are some of the benefits of this 4-step process? And while I'm waiting for, I'm sure I'm going to get an excellent response from Patrick, and I'm hoping get some good responses from others as well. So what are the benefits of this 4-step process? But let me ask you too, Milita. You've seen this in the class a lot. Why is it important to have this demonstration at the front, the teacher-child demo and the child-child demo? Okay.
See, when we are doing this demonstration as a pair, and it becomes so much powerful for the children, because they will also understand this, that whenever they are learning, they have to learn or do anything in pair. So the demonstration that the teacher is doing is in pair, and they also get to know what they have to ask each other, how they have to answer for each other, and then they will repeat the same, or the process of learning, they will repeat the process of learning, and then they will go on practicing it out. So this is very effective for, instead of explaining them the idea on a blackboard, we should demonstrate the idea as a pair. So then only the children will know that they have to do it in pairs only. So this is very, very effective when we demonstrate the idea as a pair to the children.
Absolutely, Mirtha. So once again, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the chat as well. What do you see as the benefits of this 4-step process? Why are we doing the demonstration, the random pairing first, then the demonstration, and then actually 2 demonstrations, the teacher-child and also the child-child, and then in the end, we're asking the children to work together in pairs. What are the benefits of this? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the chat. And I'd also like to pull up my slide before Patrick beats me to the draw this time. I want to pull up my slide as well and share, as I see it, some of the benefits in my view is that it also provides a structure for the teacher. So it's not like we are just giving you the book and throwing you in the deep end of the swimming pool and saying you need to swim. We're giving you a structure, a basic structure for the day, so that the teachers know what to expect, the children know what to expect. So there's a certain rhythm and predictability. As you've already been saying, it means the student participation is very active, there's more collaboration. And one other important point at the bottom here, it actually reduces the teacher workload. So in the traditional classroom, you could imagine that supposing the teacher has given 10 problems on the blackboard and all 30 students are solving the 10 problems, then that means the teacher will have 300 problems to mark, right? All 30 students, they'll solve 10 problems each. Now the teacher has a huge amount of homework to mark. Whereas in this process, the kids are working in pairs, they're giving each other these questions, and they're actually checking each other's work as well. Or if they don't know, they can ask another pair or they can ask the teacher, but they're doing much more of the work themselves. It means the students are more active in the process, and the teacher is not passive, but the teacher is a little bit more relaxed. It's not like you've got a mountain of homework to check every day. So I think there's a lot of benefits here. And I'd love to hear your thoughts, more thoughts in the chat about the benefits of the 4-step process. Meanwhile, we have a nice question from Patrick. Can you please remind us how to sign a number with 0 as ones? Example 50, 20. Okay, that's a good question, Patrick. So basically, if we can just go back to the full video for a moment. Very simply, you might recall that the snap was 1 and the clap is 10. So if you have a number with 0 in the ones column, it means just you don't do any snaps. So for example, let me clap and snap a number, and you can tell me in the chat what number it is. Here we go. So what number was that? Let's hear it in the chat. So to have a 0 there, you can just have none of that item. The same if you're doing with the hands-on materials, right? Supposing I was making the number 40, then I would just have these 4 ice cream sticks and no matchsticks, 0 matchsticks.
And can I ask you, Tom, a question?
Yeah.
That supposing why we when the teacher and the student has randomly, you have selected randomly, and they have demonstrated this idea.
Yes.
So why are we then again asking 2 more children to come forward?
Yes.
To demonstrate this idea? Why
Yes.
is it so that we are again engaging
Yes.
2 more children?
Yes.
So, and a different pair of children.
Yes. Great. So good question. I'll address that. Thank you, everybody. Everybody's said 30. That was spot on. So 3 claps. So you can see how the written work and the hands-on activity match up perfectly, right? So when you write 30, you write 3, 0. And in the same way, I did 3 claps, 1, 2, 3, and 0 snaps. I did not do any snaps. So the written work and the hands-on material, the hands-on or kinesthetic approach match up, align perfectly. I just also want to comment. A few people are saying good afternoon, Sir Nixon. So that's great, and I'm glad I brought in a celebrity guest. Next up, we have Jasprit Bumrah, who is just sitting here as well, just back from the test match in Australia, and he'll be coming in very shortly. You need to stay to the end to see him. No, just kidding. So Militha, to go for your question, we have it's a good question about why we have the child demo as well. I think it's a couple-fold. One is basically we're just involving more children in the learning process. We're inviting children to come to the front. It's always a nice feeling for them. They get to show others. Secondly, is sometimes it's easier for the children to learn from a child, in a sense, you know. So when they're seeing two children at the front doing the demonstration, they can really imagine themselves in that role. So it's one of the big paradigm shifts in the ALfA approach, is to realize that sometimes it's easiest for a child to not learn from the teacher, but from another child. So that's why we're also emphasizing this child demo.
And supposingly, we have taken up randomly picked up two children, and they come to the forefront, and they're not able to do this.
Right. So that was a bit like, you made that mistake with Nixon, I'm sure, deliberately. In the same way, if we have two kids come to the front, they're not able to do it, that's fine. The rest of the class will help them. They'll say, oh, no, it wasn't 52, it was 42, or whatever. You know, they'll say, try again. They'll listen carefully. So in this way, all of the class is still involved. It's not like they're just passively watching. They're actually watching with interest, because they want to catch if there's a mistake and help out. Great questions, Militha, and I'm also noting there's some great comments coming in as well. So from Patrick, of course, Patrick said, demonstration from teachers is the key, as it is always necessary to consider guidance that can let learners be focused on the topic and ensure learners are responding to teachers' instruction. Very, very well said, Patrick. Absolutely. And I think, in Hindi, we have a word, samjhana, right, which means to explain. But very often when we are just explaining with words, it does not actually make that much sense. So rather than just explaining with words, that's why we're talking about demonstration, right? To actually show what you're doing, not just to describe it, but to actually show it, so the students can understand more deeply. Laishram Roski said, 4 points are good in the classroom management in teacher students, managing the lesson plan, and good in the cognitive domain. Absolutely, Laishram ji, totally agree that it's beneficial academically and also socially, to help those kids be engaged in the learning process. Really good points. Militha, let me ask a follow-up question for you, because you've been asking me so many questions. We have this thing in the fourth step of the students making questions for each other. So why are we asking them to make questions for each other rather than just the teacher giving them questions?
So when we are asking the children to make questions for each other, so it becomes, we are involving them in the learning process. Yes. And at the same time, we are, asking them to be creative in their own nature. Right. Because, a child can only frame a question when he has understood a concept. Yeah. Unless and until a child understands a concept, the child will never be able to frame a question. So it becomes very effective when in the learning process, we are asking the children to frame questions for each other. Right. So this will only be possible when they have understood the idea. And at the same time, children love to give questions to each other. Right. They would, they would step back to ask a question to a teacher, but to his or her own peer, they would love to give as many questions and be creative in the best of their ideas. That's a really good point, Militha, that actually asking a question, it also means that you've learned the topic well if you're asking a question about it. So it's not just answering questions, but asking questions is also a good part of the learning process. So we have another good question here. How can we demonstrate on the child with special needs child, the CWSN? I assume that means child with special needs. At least that's what it means in my context. So correct me if I'm wrong. So I'm not sure if you were here right at the start today. We had a video just before we went live. We had a beautiful video in which a child with special need was there. Maybe I'll play it again right at the end. We won't play it right now, but we'll play it at the end. And you might have seen there that the child is, he's a child in a wheelchair,
I think he may have cerebral palsy, possibly, but the teacher is also demonstrating with him. She has called him to the front randomly, I assume, and he is responding to the clapping and snapping. So it is beautiful. In fact, Nishant, do we have this video ready? Yeah, it's ready. Okay, it's just a 2-minute video. So let's see it, because the question has come up and it's a good question. So it's a beautiful video showing how children with special needs can also be included beautifully in this learning process.
वर्षा शर्मा, राजकीय प्राथमिक पाठशाला नालागढ़ कन्या में एक्टिविटी टीचर हूँ। यहाँ पे अल्फा टीम हमारे पास काफ़ी दिनों से आ रही है। इससे
Finding the right video. As you try this out in your classroom, I know hopefully we'll be working soon in Kashmir, maybe also in Manipur. We would love to have your videos as well for the next training. So yeah, so let's watch and enjoy this lovely short video.
चलो करो, 1 और 33 करना है ना, कितना करोगे? 2 3, अब 1 2 3, कितना हो गया? 33, वेरी गुड। अब ये बताना, देखो ये कितना हुआ मेरी? 1 10 20 40 50, कितना हुआ? 51, वेरी गुड। सब लोग क्लैपिंग करो। बहुत अच्छा, बहुत अच्छा। अब ताली बजा के दिखाओ 51 की 5 बार ताली बजाओ। 1 2 3 4 5 और 1, वेरी गुड।
Wow, that was a beautiful video. I think it was Milita who helped put that together. So thank you, Milita. Love to hear your thoughts in the chat. I know it's a challenging area, how best to include children with special needs. But from what we've seen in that video and also in other classes, we've seen that the paired learning process is a beautiful way. And it means that, it means that supposing I am sitting with a child with special needs today, I am also developing that greater empathy. I'm also developing that greater compassion, that skill set. And then next day, that child will be sitting with somebody else and they will be developing that. So it means the child with special needs is actually a blessing for the class because they are helping the other children foster greater empathy and social skills. So a really good question, Naishram, and we were lovely. We enjoyed sharing that video with you as well. So please keep posting your questions and comments in the chat. And Laishram has another good question. So I love these questions. Laishram said, how can we make up those absentee students? So that is a really common issue. And I'm going to ask Milita to answer this because, Milita, we have so many schools in India where the average attendance might be down at 60%, 70%, means 30, 40% of students are not coming to school on any given day. So is there any way that ALfA can help with this?
Yes. What we have been hearing when we have implemented this idea of ALfA, that ALfA has definitely helped in some way or the other to enhance the attendance of the children in the school. because when the children are engaged in the learning process, we have heard from the BSA of Shamli that he has said in his statement that how after the implementation of ALfA, there was a great improvement in the attendance of the children. And at the same time, as I shared you about the incident that I told you, that how this pairing activity this was again a testimony of a teacher, a government school teacher, who told us that this pairing activity has how enhanced the attendance of the children, because now they go to their peer that who had sat with him or her earlier, and is knocking at the door and asking that particular child to come together. So they go together to the school. So in this way, it enhances, in some way or the other, it is gradually enhancing the learning level of the children, as well as the attendance of the children inside the schools.
Beautiful. Thanks, Milita. And I think it's basically pretty simple that one of the main reasons that kids are not attending school is because school is so boring, right? And I can understand that, if it's 6 hours of just listening to the teacher, I wouldn't want to go to school either. But if it's 6 hours of doing activities like the clapping and snapping and helping my friends and doing fun games, then yes, I will be coming to school every day. So I think ALfA can help with some of these common challenges as well. I just want to go back to the slide and share with you a final consideration that after the 4 steps, right? After we've taught a particular unit or particular lesson, then we go on and we do some collective feedback and gap filling. Now, we mentioned this yesterday, but we didn't have much time, so we'll go in a bit more depth today as we share this. So please keep your questions and comments coming. I want to address those as well. So you might be wondering, well, why feedback? Why should we be taking feedback from the students? Well, I think it's really important as a teacher to know how many of our students have learned or not learned, and which parts of the concept they are not understanding, and who is having trouble in understanding. Now, Milita, I think commonly we do, we just have a test. We might have a test at the end of the month, or at the end of the week, or even at the end of the semester. But then there'll be marking, and then by the time we get the marks back, it's 2-3 weeks later, and it's far too late. If we wanted to know, okay, this student is having difficulty with addition, then by the time we get the marks back, it's far too late to actually address that. We've gone on to the next unit, and then he gets left behind. There's a gap there. So instead, in ALfA, we encourage instant feedback, instant collective feedback from the whole class, so that you can find those gaps and fill them immediately. So what does this look like? Well, we mentioned this yesterday, but it's just asking a multiple choice question, and then we can ask the students to raise their hands. If it's option A, raise your hand. Okay, if it's option B, raise your hand, and option C, so forth. Of course, it's important to encourage the students to not worry about getting the right or wrong answer. This is not a test, it's not an exam, it's not a high stakes, high pressure thing. It's just a quick way of getting some feedback around how many students in your class have learned it and how many haven't learned. So let's do an example of this. Since we're all talking about demonstrations rather than just talking, I'm going to open a poll question for you. And I'd love to hear your vote on this. Please don't Google it, right? It's not an exam. It doesn't matter whether you get the right or wrong answer. But this is the question I want to ask your feedback on. So supposing we've had a geography unit, we've been talking about rivers and so forth, and now I'm going to just check your recall and check if you understood this. So which river has the largest discharge rate in the world, which means which river releases the most water into the sea? So I've got 4 options here. I've got the Ganga, which is the biggest river in India, the Congo is a huge river in Africa, the Amazon, a huge river in South America, and the Nile, of course, in Africa as well. So have a guess, and I'm opening this poll. So once the poll is open, please do give your vote, and there's no need to write the answer in the chat. Just vote on the poll. Okay, the poll is open. So we've got 1 vote so far, but come on, everybody. It doesn't matter if you don't know the answer. Just give it a guess. Just give it a try. We'd love to hear your guess on this. Which river internationally has which river in the world has the largest rate of flow into the ocean? As in, the most water per second is flowing into the ocean. So we've only had 3 people voting so far. Come on, everybody, give it a guess. And Milita, I didn't share this question with you ahead of time, so Do you know?
I have done it on the
Oh, you've
poll.
done it on the poll. Okay, great. Nice. I'm also going to give my vote. Great. So this you can see in the class. Well, Milta, maybe could you explain, in the class, of course, we don't have this nice option of a YouTube poll. We're not watching YouTube in the class. So how would we do this in the classroom context?
So it would be just like, putting the question on the blackboard and then giving an objective type answer, or and then asking the class, how many of you say that A is the right answer?
Yes.
Please stand up. And as you said,
Yes.
raise up your hand.
Yes.
How many of you say B is the? It can be anything, making them stand up,
Sure.
making them show their hands.
Sure.
Even, if they have slates or copies or paper, they can write the correct answer, supposedly A.
Yes.
So they write it down and show it
Yes.
to the teacher.
Yes.
So it can, the teacher can get instant feedback of the children's learning level.
Okay, great. Wow, that's really nice. So good technique. And I'm seeing the vote. Wow, it's really very evenly split. So 47% said Ganga, 47% said Amazon, 7% said Nile. Well, the correct answer is the Amazon. So the Amazon is the river which has the biggest rate of flow into the sea. If you don't believe me, you can Google it. But the Nile is the longest river in the world. It's the longest, but the Amazon is the river which has the most water, the greatest rate of flow into the sea. So there you go. Now I would know, if I had actually taught a geography class, I would know, okay, I need to revise this, right? In this case, I was just asking you to guess, so no issues if you got the wrong answer. Okay, we can close that poll. Thank you. And we have an interesting comment from Patrick. Patrick said, it's very interesting to see the activity that the child with the hearing impairment was involved in, as it was clear how happy and able to do all the expected assignments. Thanks, Patrick. We also found that a very touching video. That's why I wanted to share it with you. And it's interesting how, we talk about, oh, this child has a learning disability or whatever, but actually people who maybe have physical disabilities can often be very sharp intellectually. And so we shouldn't judge a book by its cover, definitely. So I would like to ask another follow-up question for you then. What do you think are the benefits of this form of feedback? What are the benefits of taking collective feedback, taking instant feedback, rather than just doing it as an exam, or rather than just saying, okay, I'll ask a question and just have one child answer. Okay, Milita, you answer. Or okay, Nixon, you answer. So what's the advantage of actually having asking feedback of the whole class and doing it in a way that's instant? So I'm interested to hear your thoughts in the chat on that. And while I wait for your response, Milita, can I ask you a follow-up question of what do we actually do then? Like supposing all of my students have understood the concept, then what do I do? Or supposing only some of them have understood, then what do I do? So how do we actually use this feedback?
Okay, when we are getting the feedback from the class, and if I have seen that the children are up to mark and I believe that they have all understood, so I can move to the next module or the next chapter that I have. And if it happens that I am observing that the children are not understanding, then I can again go revisit the chapter, module, and explain them this fact, or explain them the idea once again, with that same very process of demonstration, student demonstration, and then the whole class. So this can be again done because it gives us an idea, or the teacher the idea, that the children haven't understood the whole process of learning. As you know, you asked this question, so now you have to teach us all that why and what's an area that why when we were not able to understand or answer the correct answer.
Okay, good point, Milita. So basically, if I just pull my slideshow up again, and again, I'm interested to hear your thoughts in general on why this collective feedback process. But yeah, just as Milita was saying, basically, if everyone got the correct answer, that's great. We move on to the next module. If there's only a couple of students who didn't get the right answer, then we can maybe make fresh pairs. We'll pair them up And this time we will be a little bit deliberate in the pairing. We'll make sure that every child who didn't know gets to sit with somebody who did know and can help them clear the concept. Whereas if most of the class is struggling, many of the children are struggling, then we might need to reteach the concept using a different activity. So maybe I was earlier using clapping and snapping, but it seems like that didn't help. So now I'm going to try using ice cream sticks and matchsticks instead. So we need to try reteaching the concept using a different activity to make sure that everybody has learned. So that's the key part of this feedback is we use the feedback constructively. We're not using it to judge students. We're not using it to label or criticize students. We're using it constructively in order to fill in whatever gaps there are in the learning. So I'm just going to have a look at the chat. I'm hoping to welcome, by the way, to Suman from Ayodhya. I think we had several students, several teachers joining us from Ayodhya. That's wonderful. So yeah, we're interested to hear your thoughts on what are the benefits of using this form of feedback rather than waiting for an exam or rather than just asking a single student to respond. And just as I'm waiting for your responses as well, Milita, would you like to share your thoughts on what are some of the benefits of using this type of feedback?
See, first, the most important aspect is that you get the response instantly, as you were telling. Whenever you have to understand the whole process, that whether your children have understood or not, so it takes us some time. And if you are asking a question instantly to the classroom, or just like asking a particular children, so it generally and often happens that the children who are confident enough, who are bright enough, they raise up their hands and they answer for the whole class. And maybe it may be that often those children who are shy enough and they are being asked this question, they may be knowing the answers, but they are not able to answer to the teacher because they face this problem of thinking, if my answer is wrong, what would happen then? So that creates in them some shyness, because of which they are not able to answer this. So it becomes very much effective when we take a collective feedback, because everyone in the classroom is involved in this whole process of learning.
Really well said. So it's instant and it's also collective. We can see how the whole class is doing, not just how one student is doing. Great. So yeah, we've looking forward to hearing any further thoughts in the chat there. But I want to move forwards then, and we have a fun little energizer for you, right? And we're sharing this energizer because we've been sitting for some time. We've been sitting for an hour just discussing things, and we talk about active learning. So it's really important to actually be active as well. And you'll see when you get the materials, you'll see that we have these energizers sprinkled throughout, right? So this is also an important part of classroom management, classroom behavior management, is to just have these small breaks in the academic session so that students can get active, get physical, and enjoy themselves. And that really helps with behavior management too. So I'm going to ask you all, wherever you are, whether you're at home, at school, get up off your chair, right? I'm going to do it as well. Milita and I will both do it. It's just a short 2-minute video and just a fun little dance and activity. So let's all do it together, right? We have the embarrassment of doing it on video. You can do it in the privacy of your own home or your own school. So let's do this short energizer and then move on in the session.
Reach for the sky. Let's sing and move along to the silly ram-sam song. Oh, ram-sam-sam, oh, ram-sam-sam, gooly, ram-sam-sam. Oh, ram-sam-sam, oh, ram-sam-sam, gooly, ram-sam-sam. Oh, Ravi, gooly, ram-sam-sam. Oh, Ravi, gooly, ram-sam-sam. Arms up high, reach for the sky. If you want to be a ram-sam master, you've got to go a little faster. Oh, ram-sam-sam, oh, ram-sam-sam, gooly, ram-sam-sam. Oh, ram-sam-sam, oh, ram-sam-sam, gooly, ram-sam-sam. Oh, Ravi, gooly, ram-sam-sam. Oh, Ravi. gooly, 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 ram, sam, sam. Arms up high, reach for the sky. If you want to be a ram, sam master, you've got to go a little faster. Oh, ram, sam, sam, oh, ram, sam, sam, gooly, 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 ram, sam, sam, oh, ram, sam, sam, oh, ram, sam, sam, gooly, 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 ram, sam, sam, oh, Robbie, gooly, 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 ram, sam, sam, oh, Robbie, gooly, 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 ram, sam, sam. Arms up high, reach for the sky. If you want to be a ram, sam master, you got to go a little faster. Oh, ram, sam, sam, oh, ram, sam, sam, gooly, 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 ram, sam, sam, oh, ram, sam, sam, oh, ram, sam, sam, gooly, 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 ram, sam, sam, oh, Robbie, gooly, 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 ram, sam, sam, oh, Robbie, gooly, 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 ram, sam, sam. Arms up high, reach for the sky. If you want to be a ram, sam master, you got to go a little faster. Oh, ram, sam, sam, oh, ram, sam, sam, gooly, 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 ram, sam, sam, oh, ram, sam, sam, oh, ram, sam, sam, gooly, 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 ram, sam, sam, oh, Robbie, gooly, 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 ram, sam, sam, oh, Robbie, gooly, 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 ram, sam, sam. Arms up high, reach for the sky. If you want to be a ram, sam master, you got to go a little faster. Oh, ram, sam, sam, oh, ram, sam, sam, gooly, 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 ram, sam, sam, oh, ram, sam, sam, oh, ram, sam, sam, gooly, 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 ram, sam, sam, oh, Robbie, gooly, 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 ram, sam, sam, oh, Robbie, gooly, 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 ram, sam, sam. Arms up high, reach for the sky. If you want to be a ram, sam master, you got to go a little faster. Oh, ram, sam, sam, oh, ram, sam, sam, gooly, 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 ram, sam, sam, oh, ram, sam, sam, oh, ram, sam, sam, gooly, 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 ram, sam, sam, oh, Robbie, gooly, 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 ram, sam, sam, oh, Robbie, gooly, 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 ram, sam, sam. Arms up high, reach for the sky. Now you're a ram, sam master. You're a ram, sam master.
Wow. Well, I thought that was only a 2-minute video, but it felt like a 5-minute video. Wow, well, I hope you guys joined us for that. Certainly got the heart rate up, for me at least. I'm not sure about Milita. She's looking really fit. But yeah, we do these sorts of energizers during our ALfA classes as well. Every couple of days we do an energize like this. Whenever it seems like the energy is down or anything, so there's links, there's QR codes throughout the book. The literacy and numeracy book have, I think, 5 or 6 different energizers in them. And we've seen, especially, I think, in schools here in Uttar Pradesh, that a lot of the kids have really enjoyed this. They shared us this feedback, and many teachers have shared videos of their students doing these energizers, and they really enjoy it. So looking forward to hearing your thoughts in the chat. I hope that you tried the energizer yourself. But I'm just seeing, yeah, don't learn dance from us. We're here to teach you ALfA. We're not here to teach you dance. You can see that we're not very good at dancing. But Patrick, we also learned geography here. There you go. That's great. Yeah. Okay, so just going back to my PowerPoint briefly. We've talked slightly about this, but I'd like to go in a bit more depth around classroom behavior management, right? So again, I'd like to hear your thoughts in the chat here. So, oh, by the way, Messenger said it's an amazing energizer. You like it, great. Well, the link, I think we can share the link with you as well in the chat. So feel free to use it directly in your classes. I think you can get from Nishant. Nishant will have the link, and yeah, so definitely this is one of our favorite energizers, although it certainly is a little bit exhausting. It's only 2 minutes, but it feels like more. It feels like 5 or 10 minutes. So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the chat. How do you think ALfA can help in managing some children's challenging behaviors? If you work with kids like I do, like Milita does, then we all know that some kids can have some pretty challenging behaviors. They can be disobedient, they can be rude, they can be naughty, they can be loud, they can be obnoxious. But we want to ask you the question: how can this ALfA process help with managing these challenging behaviors? This is one of the biggest headaches for many teachers when we ask them, what's the biggest challenge in your role? They say, okay, it's the behavior management. So I'm really interested to hear your thoughts in the chat. From what you've seen so far of the ALfA pedagogy, the ALfA process, how do you think ALfA can help in managing children's challenging behavior? Milita, I'd like to hear your thoughts first while we're waiting for people to type.
So yeah, how can ALfA help with children who are being obnoxious or who are being, disruptive in the classroom?
See, when we are talking about the ALfA classroom, it often happens that the children, when they are made to sit in pair, so somewhere or the other, they tend to learn certain of the good values also from each other, and the teacher can at the same time observe what the children are doing, because that here the role of the teacher becomes little bit important, that when the teacher observes that some teacher or some students are being obnoxious, they are being rude to each other, so the teacher can intervene out here and explain the idea to the children sitting in pairs. So this we have got some reviews from the teachers when these children were made to sit together. So what happened is, one child was bright enough, and the child who was made to sit randomly was not facing little bit struggling in nature. So this child was becoming rude to the other child, because saying ki, oh, he's not understanding me, ma'am. But here the role of the teacher becomes important. And when she told this child that you are a teacher to this child, and you will be teaching this child and helping him out, so that becomes very effective when you explain to them their role. And when they understand their role, then they help the other child. As you could see in the reference to the the video that we were showing, where this two children were paired together, and one was specially able, he could not hear, but when this child was paired in together, he was helping that particular child and also developing in him the idea of empathy. So that's very important in the ALfA classroom that we have.
Yeah, beautifully said, Milita. So what I understood from what you're saying is that when students are more engaged, when they have a role to play, when they're bored, then they'll be distracted and then they'll be disruptive, right? But if they actually have a role to play and they feel important, oh, I am actually helping another student, I'm teaching them, then they feel more engaged in the process, and then they're less likely to do disruptive behavior. And I'm just going to have a look in the chat, because we've got some good comments here from Masengesho shared. With the activities, learners are busy practicing what they are studying. Absolutely active. Some interesting materials are key to manage the learner's behavior. Totally agree, Masengesho, Eric. So when the students are active in the learning process, then they're going to be much more calm and not acting out in terms of their behavior. Patrick said, feedback also, we cannot forget that it motivates learners to work harder. Yeah, that's right. So when the learners, when we're taking this collective feedback, they can get a sense of how the classroom is doing, then they'll be motivated definitely to keep working harder. If I just pull up my slide again, before, I'm sure Patrick has another really good point to say, but yeah. Oh, I wanted to share that there's quite a lot of research on this. You can see these articles on the right. I won't go into them now, but you can search for these later. But there's a lot of research on this, that boredom is one of the biggest reasons for attention-seeking behavior. Right? So attention-seeking behavior means that I'm doing something naughty or disobedient in the class because I want the teacher's attention. Now we have a phrase in marketing that there's no such thing as bad attention, right? And so for some kids, especially if they're coming from dysfunctional or difficult, challenging families, then they're not getting much attention at home from their parents, so they may be craving the teacher's attention. And if they can't win the teacher's attention by doing something great, then they'll try to do something naughty to get the teacher's attention. So boredom is one of the main reasons. If they're bored, if they're feeling a lack of attention, they'll do attention-seeking behavior, which is often disruptive behavior, which means fighting with other students, or wrecking stuff, or just making noise, whatever. So what we see in the ALfA class is when children are taking more interest in the learning process, when they're more actively engaged, then usually they are less bored, and hence this attention-seeking and disruptive behavior also reduces. Now, there is a flip side, which I will have to warn you on. The ALfA classroom can be quite noisy, right? So if you have the class of 30 kids, 40 kids working together in pairs, doing the clapping and snapping activity, there will be noise. But don't worry, this is not the same as the sort of noise when kids are fighting or when kids are ruining things or wrecking materials. It's not that sort of noise. It's a very productive noise. So that's fine, right? Let them be noisy as long as they're actually focused on the task and engaged with it. So yeah, as you shared in the chat, I'm totally in agreement that it's all about getting the kids actively engaged in the learning process. Then automatically those disruptive behaviors will reduce, and we need to worry less then about discipline and detention, punishment. All of these things we'll have much less concern about if the kids are actively engaged in the learning process. So Eric shared another one, instructions and rules which learners had apart to make them in the class can guide them to behave well. That's really well said, Eric. So the idea of having some class rules or class principles, class foundations, and having the students involved in making those. So for example, a rule might be, I'm not going to talk over somebody else. If Milt is talking, I'm not going to cut her off and talk over her. Or a rule might be, I'm not going to tear my book. I'm not going to rip my book. So whatever rules there are, let's not just enforce them on the students. Let's involve the students in making the rules together. I think that's a beautiful thought, Eric. Yeah.
And can I say something?
Yeah, of course.
When when what I feel is often the mischief is done in pairs or when in a group.
Yes.
So what happens is, because in this ALfA classroom, every day the child is being made to sit with another new child.
Yeah.
So, generally a single child does not create the problem.
Yes.
The problem happens when two children get together to design a mischief and then come out with the problem. So because I am going to make, or the child is made to sit randomly with different children on each day, so he is not able to design that concept of mischief in his mind, because he is going to be sitting with a new pair the coming day or in the next class. Or the teacher will, definitely when he or she, the teacher will see that they both are getting mischievous, so she will randomly, shuffle the class once again. So this, the boiling point won't happen, and the main impact of mischief won't happen if this random pairing can is being implemented in the classroom. This is what I feel. If we can do that, we can definitely control many of the mischiefs that are happening inside the classroom.
That's a really good thought, Milita. So when we're making random pairs, all of those mischievous kids who formed the same group, well, that group will be broken up. They'll be mixed up with other kids, and they'll be less naughty, perhaps. So yeah, really good thought. Okay, we've only got about half an hour left, so we've got some more interesting content to share with you. So I'd like to discuss briefly. If I pull up my slideshow again. In fact, we don't need the okay. So. In fact, before we go to the slideshow, I want to show you a short video. This is about a 4-minute video, because you've been hearing a lot from us, but now it's time to hear directly from the teachers, right? Now, this is a video particularly about how the roles of a teacher have changed, in the ALfA process. So we've been talking a lot about it being student-centered learning, student-led learning, activity-based learning, and you might be thinking, okay, that's all great, but now what is the teacher actually doing? What are the roles of the teacher? So we've got this short video to show you. It's mainly shot here in Lucknow. And then I'd love to hear your thoughts in the chat about how the roles of a teacher change in the ALfA class and what the new roles of the ALfA teacher are. So we can switch to the video whenever it's ready.
My feedback as a teacher, as a galvanizer, is that I am now a little bit relaxed, because all the load that we were facing earlier, somehow it has vanished, and children are taking responsibility. They are taking their responsibility of their own learning.
So our journey with ALfA started with the first MOOT training that happened, and we were very intrigued after seeing that video of how the learners who were not able to read and write, the learners who are unprivileged, how they started this journey.
They're very happy. The children are very happy because they get to interact with each other. They are always involved. They're not sitting idle ever because they have so much to do and so much to explore. So they're very, very happy and involved. And as teachers, we are happy seeing them involved so much because earlier we were teaching and they were just listening or learning. And now it's totally hands on. They're practicing all the things. The parents are very happy. The parents are especially very happy with the fact that the children are learning more than the level of that class.
These learners from the government school in Orissa, they were learning so fast. They were calculating so big numbers. They were reading newspapers. I was really excited to see that. And I wanted to bring this transformation with our children also.
My children, they are loving. They are loving Alpha, and they are loving the activities that are going on in the classroom, and they are using their brains, they are using their ideas to implement in the classroom activities. And yes, they themselves have become a teacher now.
Yes, in the month of July, we started with the ALfA modules, and since then, now today, after 31 to 35 days, our learners are always waiting for ALfA classes. They're so excited for ALfA numeracy. All the modules are so interesting. The children, the parents too, when they go home and they tell their parents about what they learn in the class today and they do it again at home, the parents are even more excited to be part of it.
Yes, I think they have empowered themselves now. There is no limit, literally no limit, because earlier they were doing numbers till thousands, but now they are doing till lakhs.
We actually needed this change. This is what I think, because it was the education system in India. It's very monotonous. It's the same classroom, teacher is same teaching the same thing on the board. So the children do get bored. Now it's more of the child-led, child-centric. They are the teachers. They are teaching themselves. They are teaching their peers, and this is what ALfA is more about. The interesting part is that, Aishwarya ma'am, that when they go home and they are so excited to record a video
Exactly.
of whatever they've learned in the class, and they involve their parents or their siblings or their Tina and Toto puppets. So they really get excited with this, and they send us some amazing
Beautiful
videos.
yeah.
Yeah, so we on daily basis we actually receive 40-50 videos, and it's really beautiful to see how the learners actually implementing the same at home, even with their grandparents involved, and it's actually enhancing their vocabulary as well, and this is giving them more confidence to work on their own. So I think ALfA training, ALfA transformation has already started, already taking place in our branch, and we are so excited to finish the module and go to the next level.
For watching that video with us. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the chat about what you noticed about how the roles of a teacher change in the ALfA process. So we're moving away from the chalk and talk method to quite a few different roles here that the ALfA teacher has. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, what you noticed, any comments from that video, and especially about how the workload of the teachers shifted and what new roles they are doing. And while I'm waiting for that, I'd love to hear your thoughts there. But Milita, they were using a word in that video, galvanizer. They were talking about the teacher as a galvanizer. So can you see, it's a bit of a fancy word. What does it mean to be a galvanizer?
Right. In ALfA classroom, we are not, terming the teacher as teacher or facilitator, but he or she is a galvanizer. Why a galvanizer? Because in here, the role of the teacher is to ignite the learning process. Just igniting the learning process, and the main learning is happening between the children sitting in pairs. So that's very important, that the role of the teacher is just to ignite the process of learning. So thereby, the teacher is not a teacher who is pouring out the knowledge, but he or she is bringing the child to the verge of the point or the doorstep of the knowledge, and the child has to now open the doors and enter it. So that's what we are doing in the ALfA classroom. So thereby, it's not teacher who teaches, but a galvanizer who ignites.
Wow, that's really beautifully said, Milita. So Galvanize's job is not to teach necessarily, but to guide them to the knowledge, and they will enter the door themselves. Yeah, beautifully said. So interested to hear your thoughts in the chat, and I see Patrick, as usual, has given a few good comments. Patrick said those tools should be shared because they can be used to increase self-capacity building for teachers. I focused on school level, but there is much ALfA can help for sure. Thank you, Patrick. So definitely all of these resources we've made available for free online, and all of the trainings as well. You can just subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can see the record of past trainings. So we want this to be a gift, and we want to hear your feedback as well as you try this out in your context. It's already been tried in, I think, almost 2,000 schools across India and also several other countries, Maldives, Kenya, Ghana. But we're always keen to try it out in new languages, in new contexts, and we learn a lot from that as well when new teachers try it out. One more thing, just as I'm waiting for your thoughts, keen to hear your thoughts on how the roles of an ALfA teacher have shifted through the ALfA process. I also want to give a quick demonstration of what I love, one of the metaphors I love for teaching. So Paulo Freire, who some of you might be familiar with, Paulo Freire talked about and criticized the banking model of education. Now, the banking model, Milita, is supposing that I'm the teacher, suppose, and you're the student. Then in this, I imagine that the student has an empty brain to start with. They come to school with an empty brain, and then my job is to deposit the money or deposit the facts in the brain. Let's use the money, right? Let's use the money.
Okay.
Since we have the banking model. So my job is, this is your brain. It's totally empty, and it's my job to just deposit facts, which is represented by money, in your brain. So there you go. There's all of these facts. 2 + 2 is 4. 3 + 3 is 6. 4 + 4 is 8. My job is just to stuff the facts into your brain. But then what happens is these facts, they're not actually anchored in the brain. They very easily fall out and you've forgotten, you haven't remembered. So this banking model of education, which the teacher's job is just to stuff the empty brain of the child with learning, it's really, when you look at psychology, even at a basic level, the mind is not like an empty basket. The child, when they come to school, they already have so many knowledge, so much knowledge, so many experiences. And the ALfA process is all about nurturing those existing knowledge and experience and helping them to discover these new learnings, discover new knowledge themselves. So that's why we keep talking about this, known to unknown process, because Milita's brain is not empty. The first day she comes to school, she still has so much existing knowledge. She can recognize pictures. She probably knows how to count. So she has a lot of existing skills and knowledge, and the job of the teacher is to build on that. Right? It's not to stuff in new information like this. It's to build on the existing knowledge and skills that the student already has. So I think I really love Paulo Freire. I would encourage you to look him up. It's a great Brazilian educator working in adult literacy and also school education. And this concept of the banking model of education, of the teacher stuffing the information into the student, it's certainly very outdated. And unfortunately, though, many of our class students still operate on this idea that the teacher's job is to just stuff in the information, stuff in the facts. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts in the chat. Any comments on how the roles of the teacher are changing in the ALfA classroom? And with that, I'm also going to pull up my my slideshow, and I want to ask Milita a follow-up. So we saw that video, but I'd be interested to hear your thoughts, Milita, while we're waiting for people to respond. Yeah, can you just share us a few? What are the new roles of the ALfA teacher?
See, as we have been discussing earlier also, that briefly describing the steps of the galvanizer, or now not a teacher but a galvanizer. So you all, wherever you are, if you are into this process of learning, you are not a teacher but you are a galvanizer. So the main role of the galvanizer is now to, first of all, pair up children randomly, demonstrate how to work with each other, and then demonstrate also how to take turns. That's very important, that we should also give them the understanding of how to take turns. As when we are demonstrating this idea of clap and snap, so it was like when I did a mistake or Tom did a mistake, it wasn't the answer has not does it should not come from the pair, but the answer has to come from me who got the answer incorrect. So that's very important when we are demonstrating, so that it should be, they should be taking turns. And when every aspect, whenever we are involving in this whole process of learning, we should always try this out, that we should motivate each other. And this motivation happens how? When we are, giving a high five to each other. When Tom said it right, and I gave a high five to Tom. And when I was wrong, Tom asked me to redo the thing or try once again. So in this way, we are motivating each other. And at the same time, preparation of the things, collecting of the things beforehand, and gradually also developing this idea of empathy rather than sympathy. So that's really very important when we are talking about a galvanizer who is there inside the classroom. As you can see in the picture, the role of the teacher is to observe from a corner. The whole class is doing their own work, and the teacher is observing the whole class.
Right, beautiful, beautiful picture too. The teacher is sitting there, or she's standing in that case, she's watching the whole class, and she's ready to help if needed, but she's not interfering. She's letting the kids get along with their own work, working individually or in pairs. So I love to keep hearing your thoughts in the chat, but I also want to move forwards because we have a quick set of questions for you. Just as we move to the end of this 3-day training, we want to ask a couple of questions. These are do's and don'ts of the ALfA classroom. So I think if you've been here all 3 days, you'll probably get all of these correct. There's no trick questions here. But these are some of the common issues we see when Milit and I go to the field and we visit classes. These are some of the common misconceptions or the common problems that teachers face. So we're going to do this as a set of polls, and I'm going to request everybody to please vote very quickly on the poll because we don't have much time left. We've got quite a few of these questions to go through. It's just an option A, B. Don't worry if you get the wrong answer. It's fine. And you may disagree with us on what's the wrong answer. That's also fine. But we want to ask you, in the ALfA process, which would you suggest of these is better? And we've given a picture or a video for each. So I'm going to open the poll and ask you all to vote on it, please. And so in this the first question is, what would be better, to A, teach the whole class together, or B, have the class sit in pairs? So the poll is live. Please do vote. We want to hear your vote, see which option wins the election. You can see the photo on the left. The entire class is being taught together. Photo on the right, the children are sitting in pairs. Which of these would you prefer? So I'm looking at the poll, and I want to see your votes as they come. So please do keep voting. Interested to hear your thoughts. And for each question, we're only going to give 60 seconds, okay? So you've got to be quick on the mark. Get ready to vote quickly. We've got quite a few of these questions. And these are genuine pictures, from classrooms that we've observed, we've seen. And because these are some of the common issues that teachers fall into. So I think we have 9 votes so far, okay? We can close the poll, I think, and we need very quickly, we need you all to vote very quickly. So Patrick has shared, we faced a power shortage. No worries, Patrick. We faced a power shortage ourselves yesterday, so we have a lot of empathy for that. And thank you so much for joining us for as long as you could. Really appreciate. Okay, and the poll result has come in, and almost all of you preferred option B, 88%. Okay, somebody preferred to teach the whole class together. That's fine. We respect difference of opinion. But yeah, definitely in ALfA, we prefer to have the children sitting in pairs, as we've discussed at length all 3 days. It's so much more powerful because the kids are more engaged, more active in the learning process, and it also reduces the teacher workload. Okay, let's move quickly. Here's our second poll. Which one would be better? And I'm just going to reopen the poll so that you can vote again. Which one would be better? Would it be better to A, make pairs randomly, or B, create pairs based on ability level? So we talked about this a bit earlier today. I'm not sure if the same people are here now who were there then. If so, I'm sure it will be very easy for you. But in the ALfA process, are we making pairs randomly or are we making them based on ability level? So the poll is open. Please do vote. Looking forward to hearing the results of the election. And I'm also going to see the comments. Great. So please do vote in the poll. You don't need to vote in the chat. You can just vote directly in the poll. All right. Okay. This is a much more even election. Okay. Very interesting. So I think we can close the poll, and we have. So please do vote quickly in the poll. Right. We're just going to leave it open for a minute. This is a much more even election. Option A won, but it was a very close race. So, Milita, would you like to share briefly, for in ALfA, we do make the pairs randomly, but why are we making them randomly?
See, as we had been discussing that why should we make the pairs randomly is that when we are making the pairs based upon the ability, there are two side effects. One is when this child who is weak, or we say who is not who is struggling a little bit. So when we make the child sit with a pair who is brighter, so it's like when we are doing it purposefully, it like that this child who is weaker will feel like he is being pulled down, or he is being categorized as he is a weak child, or a child who is a brighter child like Tom. And if I'm being made to sit with Tom, so Tom may feel because I am a bright student, so thereby I have been asked to help this particular boy or a girl. So this will give, he will feel proud, and this can create a difference in the learning level, or the understanding of the children also. So we believe that this random pairing can solve this problem to a very much extent.
Really well said, Milita. And now a lot more people have voted in the chat box, voted A. So thank you. We agree. Okay, the poll, we closed the poll. So that's fine. We're going on to the next question. Please do vote quickly because we don't have much time on each poll. So make sure your vote counts by voting before the election day, before the election closes. Okay, so here's the next poll to open. Which one is better? Option A, keep the same pairs for a long time, or option B, create new pairs every day? Now, this is a bit of a tricky question, and I can understand that there will be some disagreement probably on this. There's some pros and cons either way. But in the ALfA process, what do we recommend? Do we want to keep the same pairs for a long time, or do we want to create new pairs every day? Very interested to hear your thoughts here. The poll is open. And for some of you, if your poll has been lagging, you may need to just, if you see on the bottom left of your YouTube, if you just hit the live button, sometimes if there's an internet delay, it's no longer live, and then you'll be not able to interact with us directly. So if you just click the live button in the bottom left, you'll be able to make sure that you're hearing it with minimum delay. Okay, so I'm just going to close the poll in about 15 seconds. So if you haven't voted yet, please do vote. Do we prefer to A, keep the same pairs for a long time, or B, create new pairs every day? Okay, let's close the poll and see the results of the election. Very exciting, a lot of elections. Okay, and here we have again a close election. Very interesting, a close election. And here, what we would prefer in the ALfA process is actually making new pairs every day, or if not every day, at least every couple of days or every week. We don't want to stay in the same pair for a long time. The reason for this, well, there's many reasons, but one is just the excitement, right? The excitement of new, every day I'm coming to school and I know that I'm going to work with a new child, right? It also means that the class keeps getting mixed up. So any of those, normally kids want to sit with just their friend, right? But we are trying to mix it up so that they're developing their social skills and sitting with people who they may not know, may not be so familiar with. And that way, they're going to develop their communication skills, develop their social skills. So I gave the example, I think yesterday, of khichdi, the Indian dish, which is rice and dal, and we mix the dish through together, right? We keep mixing it. So in the same way in the class, we like to keep mixing it so that new kids, each child gets to work with a new partner every day. So that's what we recommend in ALfA. And yeah, okay, great. Let's. We've got a couple more of these, so let's open the next poll. Which one would be better? Option A, the teacher stands in the front, right? The teacher explains from the front. Or option B, the teacher is still in the front, but they demonstrate the activity in a pair with a child. Okay, so here's the next poll. Option A, the teacher is explaining from the front by themselves. Or option B, they are demonstrating the activity in pairs with a child. In fact, the one on the left, I believe, is a video, so maybe I can just play that as well. Okay, you can see there's a video being played there. I'm not sure if the audio is coming through to you. Okay, yeah, great.
जोर से बोलना है
मैम ये वाला
बोलो फिर
21
नंबर क्या है 21
Okay, great. Well, we've got 10 votes. I think you've got the idea from the video, right? The teacher was doing a demonstration with the student in option B, and now they've called the student forward to do a demonstration. Okay, so let's close the poll and see the results. Interested to see the results of this one. And the result is 90% preferred option B here. So definitely, we totally agree with you here that it's much better to demonstrate the activity with a child rather than just explaining it from the front yourself. Yeah, great. We can move forward to the next slide, please. Yeah. And okay, I'm going to skip this one, I think, because we don't have much time. Can we skip to the next slide, please? Yeah, let's dwell on this one because this is an interesting aspect that we haven't mentioned much. So let's do this poll. This will be our final poll for the day before we wrap it up. So which would be better? Supposing we have the physical copies of the book here, right? And we have pairs of children. Would it be better to A, let every child have their own book, or B, let the book be shared between two children? Which option do you think would be better? Let's open this poll and look forward to hearing your vote on this. Option A, let each child have their own book, or option B, let the book be shared between two children. Interested to hear your thoughts on this. And again, I know we haven't talked about this one very much, but probably if you've been here all 3 days, you'll know what we are thinking. So which would be better? Option A, every child has their own book, or option B, pairs of children have one book between them. So just 5 people have voted so far. 6, 7, 10, okay. Okay, and I think we can close the poll. And there we go. We have again a big majority for option B, 91%. Excellent. We agree. You know, it's not just that it saves paper, which is also valuable, but it means that the children are genuinely interacting with each other. You know, if Milith and I have our own book, then we are reading our own separate pages, and we may be sitting in a pair, but we're not actually working together as a pair. Whereas if we have the one book between the two of us, then both of us will be working together in a pair, and that will be a more genuine interaction. So great, thank you. I'm glad we could stay through this because these are some of the common challenges, some of the common issues we see when we go around and observe classes in the field. We won't do all of these because we don't have the time. So yeah, we're just going to skip through and say once again, thank you so very much. You know, we really enjoyed this session with you. It was a lot of fun all 3 days. And a couple of reminders, right, of how we can follow it up. Because while it's been fun, we don't want to finish it here. You know, we want something good to come out of this. So if I just have my slideshow once again, please. There's a couple of ways we can take this forward. Firstly, most importantly, I'd like you to please try out these activities. So if you haven't yet, please do the quiz from the literacy session, from the numeracy session. In that, you'll share your email, and we will be emailing you out the certificate and also the book, the English literacy book and the numeracy book as well. So then try this out in your classroom. There's no way to figure it out just in theory. You need to try it out in practice, and that's how you'll see whether this methodology is really working or not. I don't think you're going to believe me just from me saying it. When you try it out yourself, that's when you really have faith that it can work wonders. And secondly, we have an Urdu event coming up next week. So I know we had many people joining us from Kashmir these last few days. It's been wonderful to have you with us. And next week on Monday and Tuesday, we'll have another training specifically on Urdu literacy and also the numeracy material, which we've just translated into Urdu as well. So that presentation will be given in Urdu. I think one of my colleagues will be here to do that. So please do join us, especially if you're from Kashmir, Pakistan, Lucknow, a lot of Urdu spoken in Lucknow, or anywhere Urdu-speaking region. Please do join us for that. We'd love to have you there. And last but not least, we also have another in-person event coming up next year in February, so only 2 months away. It's called the Leadership Circle. So I'm going to ask my team to please share the link for that in the chat as well, if you can. So the Leadership Circle is coming up in Lucknow. I think it's 19th and 20th of February, 2025. So please do join us for that. There's going to be more hands-on training. Some of you asked for, getting involved offline, so that's a big opportunity. There's going to be in-person training, there's going to be workshops, and we're going to hear, most importantly, from different teachers who will be coming from UP, from Himachal, from different places which are implementing ALfA. They will be coming to share their experience and their testimony. So we'd love to have your participation in that as well, and I'm going to be sharing the link and the details in the comments. So once again, thank you so much from my side. Please post any final questions, any final comments. We'd love to see in the chat. And I'm going to have a look through the chat. Laishram said we don't know Urdu. Okay, no worries. You're excused from next week. But please do join us at the Leadership Circle if possible. That will be in English. And okay. Patrick finally got to the end of today's training without his electricity dropping out. That's great. Laishram said, new pairs every day or sharing are good in socializing the ideas and sharing to everybody. Thanks, Laishram. We agree. That's one of the main reasons why we are doing new pairs every day. Dr. Urmani said, please send certificates for all 3 days. Okay, we don't actually have a certificate for today because we didn't give you any homework today. There's no quiz today. And the 2 certificates already are literacy and numeracy. Today was just kind of a miscellaneous, different roles of the teacher and so forth. So there's no certificate for today. And the only homework today is to take the materials and actually try using them. That's the most important homework. So please do try that out and be in touch with us through our website, dignityeducation.org, our email address, info@dignityeducation.org. We'll be sharing those details again in the chat. But please do be in touch with us. Share us your photos and your videos as you try out this implementation. And hopefully we'll be using some of those videos in the next training we do. We'll be sharing footage from your classrooms. So I'm just seeing, okay, please send the link in your Gmail. Great. Yes, we will be, yes. So we will be sharing the more of these details. I'm going to be sending a follow-up email, but you can see there in the chat, there's the dignityeducation.org/circle. That is the website for our upcoming conference. And Alfred wants to join Urdu. Absolutely. Please do join us for Urdu. And Dr. Urfana from Kashmir, yes, I got, ma'am, that your certificate was mistaken, so I'll fix that and share with you. Okay, Patrick said, for those 2 options we voted for, let's keep in mind that even the whole class can be used based on a certain reason. Absolutely, I agree, Patrick. So it is, paired learning in ALfA, we use maybe like 80% of the time. There's still some need for whole class demonstration, whole class feedback, all of this. But paired learning we use most of the time. Ruhi will be joining us for Urdu. Please do. We'd love to have you. So please keep sharing your comments, and your questions, if any, and I'll try to address them. But Milita, over to you to wrap up. The 3 days we had a lot of fun. 1 minute to just wrap it up.
Okay. So thank you everyone for active participation on all the 3 days. And I would love to ask you that if you have subscribed to our YouTube channel, the upcoming session that will be there in Urdu, you will get a notification in whenever we are uploading the link on our YouTube channel. So please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. This will help you to get notification earlier at the earlier. Okay, so thank you for everyone for your active participation. It was lovely meeting you all. Sitting in India, we could interact with people, all great educationists from Rwanda, from Malaysia, from Manipur, from Kashmir, and we are so blessed to have you all, and really looking forward that together we can definitely transform how the children are learning, and will definitely be able to transform how the children are learning. And one day we will declare our district, our state, our nation as a fully literate nation. So thank you all. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And thank you for your passion. Thanks a lot.
So off with a couple of videos, but we will be in touch again through a follow-up email, and please do follow the links to access the website on the leadership circle. Thank you so much, really appreciate it. The Accelerating Learning for All program was featured in a recent book by Professor Fernando Reimers of the Harvard Graduate School of Education. Rebuilding Resilient Education Systems After the COVID-19 Pandemic features innovative educational ideas from around the world. Chapters 8 and 10 discuss the ALfA program, with Chapter 8 documenting the results from ALfA implementation in Shamli district, Uttar Pradesh. The report noted that Accelerating Learning for All, ALfA, helps children quickly gain FLN competencies. The pedagogical approach works as follows. Students start from known words in the form of pictures, identify the sounds, and work backwards to the letters. The report goes on to state that students in the intervention groups had much higher oral reading fluency, ORF, across all grade levels than those in the control group. For grades 4 to 5, 50% of the intervention group students were able to read the passage at greater than 90 words per minute, compared to 20% of the reference group students. The effect size of the project was 0.23 for grade 3 students and 0.89 for grade 5 students. The results suggest that there is significant value in pursuing the ALfA model in other schools if implemented in a coherent, structured, and coordinated manner.